Hello everyone, welcome back. We're in Morningside. This is an area that we've worked closely to, but not in before. This is a unique project that I wanted to share with everyone. This was a full gut remodel on a home built, all the homes around here were built around 20s and 30s, some of them anyways. This one is one of those. This is a friend of a gentleman that wanted me to do some work, ended up not doing some work, and he said, hey, you gotta hire Peter, and here we are. So we did a remodel for a very lovely gentleman here. He bought this home with full intentions of remodeling the entire inside and starting everything from scratch from anew. And actually this house, the character of these old homes, they have these big attics up here that sometimes are 10, 11, 12 feet tall. This one had one of those huge attics, which was just an unusable space, which you'll see in the before and afters. We converted the whole second story to a proper second story. So now there's a bedroom, living room, bathroom up there for his family. So this is a fun project I wanted to share with everyone and kind of walk you through it, because we don't do a lot of these homes from this generation going back to closer to 1900. But this was a fun project. There was a very interesting design done that was very character to this style of home. So let's go check it out. Come on. So you can see already before we even enter the home, you're seeing the character of the house. This is an original door. It's very old. It's got the old copper seals on it, but welcome. So we completely gutted this whole house. A few pieces of sheetrock stayed in this room. We didn't take the sheetrock off and we didn't do too much. And in the dining room, we didn't take the sheetrock off, but the rest of the house was a gut. So in this room, it's a beautiful living room, and you can see as you walk in, they had this beautiful kind of living room den vibe when they originally built these houses. Remember, back when they built these houses, they were very compartmentalized. They used to even have like saloon doors that would close in on you between each room, and there was one there. So in this room, we didn't do much. You can see it's got some original style windows on there. I don't know if they're original from when the home was built, but I think they are, because they have the old rope and like counterweight devices inside of them. When we had the casings off, I mean, they're counterweights this big, like a liter bottle of fluid holding the window so you can open them up and down. So single pane windows original. Somebody else has done something over the years, but a lot of original character in the house. In the fireplace, we just installed the designer spec, a really cool like fire brick here that was more character to the style of brick that was in there, because there was another ugly tile here. So we just did a tile over the top of the old tile and it tied it in better. This is original. Obviously these doors are quite old. You can see the original like kind of crystal handle hardwares that we had to reintegrate into all the new stuff that I'll show you in a moment. But we didn't do much in here. We just freshened it up. Out in the porch, let me see if I can show you. This is kind of a fun feature. The old skeleton key, you don't see those anymore. So if we walk out here, the client originally had bought this house and somebody had closed this in. They put all kinds of millwork and windows and whatever in here, and you can see the remnants of where it used to be on the sides here. So we took that out, we freshened it up, we cleaned up the ceiling, he got a new light in here. We brought the electrical up to code because it was nowhere near it. But we didn't do much out here. He liked his original just kind of foliage and vines that were growing through, so we just cleaned this up. Let's go back inside. So flowing into the dining room from the living room, again, we didn't do a whole lot in here, but I'm going to point out one detail to you guys that's kind of fun in this house. It was not fun for us while we were building. Again, because this house was from the early 1900s, all the millwork was from the early 1900s. So you have casings and baseboards and trim around this whole house that you can't get anymore. You'd literally have to have them templated and custom milled just for you. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. It's a budget buster, so obviously we want to avoid that. So I'm going to challenge you to tell me in the comments down below, where do you think we have original casing and where can you spot the updated casing? Because we had to bring in a casing that was really close to the original to match it, because we just didn't have the time or budget to create our own again. And we had to essentially remove all the old millwork from the house in different areas so we could then reuse it. So it was like putting Tetris pieces together, because we had to measure the lengths of the wood without damage or cuts or holes in it and see where each piece would fit around the house, so we'd have a long enough piece without cuts to succeed at putting trim back everywhere. It was fun, let's say. But in the dining room, you're seeing a piece of this. And in another part of the house, actually, you'll see that this was one of those openings that had an original kind of saloon door is what they used to call them, I think, where they would segregate each of the rooms away from each other. So we removed that, obviously, updated the arch a little bit more modern. We did a paneling detail here in the in the dining room that the designer came up with. Other than that, some nice lighting, easy room to do. Let's go to the most fun part, the kitchen. So the kitchen, obviously, now we're into the rest of the house where we've completely gutted everything. This is, again, one of those rooms that was a lot smaller than it used to be. You know, this is not the largest home in the world, not the very smallest either, but the kitchens that they used to have in these older homes were really small by today's standards. So this thing doubled in size, maybe a bit more. The kitchen used to basically be just right here. So we put in some beam work and we reframed some things. We had to come up with some creative solutions for plumbing because we did reuse a lot of the original framing in this house, but we got it done. We had to get some plumbing from the new bathroom upstairs down here, so that was kind of fun. But you can see in this kitchen, they kept the character of the design very appropriate for the style of the neighborhood. You're not seeing too much modern stuff in here. It's a classic design. It's very pretty. I love all of the hardware that the designer put on the shelves and things like this. They just tie all these little components together. She did the island with these leg pieces. Now this is actually a kitchen, believe it or not, that you would think, you look at this kitchen and think that it's completely custom. It's not. This is a kitchen that was built using cabinets that are ready to assemble or ready to order. A lot of people use these types of cabinets. So you have two different color cabinets, and what we did is it's how you put the puzzle together to make it look cohesive. So you do have a vent hood that we purchased from one company that literally came as this whole hood, and then we have our cabinetry that we build around it, and then we have our millwork detail and crowns that we add on top to kind of tie everything back together. So another example over here is he wanted some modern amenities, of course, so he's got his coffee machine, a little beverage center right here, and they don't make these types of cabinets in the ready to assemble, so we have to kind of make our own out of what we have. So you buy parts and pieces from them and you assemble them together, and you come up with this. You buy the finished doors and then you do the crown details, and you end up with a kitchen that looks extremely high-end, and it is very, very nice without breaking the budget or the bank. So you can use standard style appliances, like this is a counter depth refrigerator. You don't have that big bulk sticking out. You just see the reveal of the door. It's very sexy. This is a very sexy kitchen that was built with not a whole lot of money. Obviously, you have some details in here that cost a few dollars. We have some really pretty lighting and things that the designer spec'd. They went with the antique stone on top of the countertops. I think it all just looks phenomenal. She picked out some great faucets and fixtures. But again, you've got the original character of the home in this room that kind of makes it all cohesive and tied together. You got the original windows here. You can, again, still see the rope details on here. Back behind the kitchen, I'll show you this cute little mudroom that they did. She picked out some really cute little tile. So when you walk in out of the backyard, this is your main entry. You come in here and you've got a kind of a more durable flooring here on the floor. We did some custom built-ins here. Obviously you can store all your shoes. She spec'd out a millwork on the wall that's kind of like a shiplap. It's actually more like a V-groove or a nickel gap. And so we built a new pantry back here that serves the kitchen, but you can see we used an original door. So throughout the house, this project is just a continuation of reusing what the house had in it, but repurposing it. So that door, I don't even remember where it was somewhere else. It was a small size door. We had a small size opening here. So we took multiple doors around this house, moved them around, repositioned them, reused them. So you can keep that originality in the home. Let's continue on this way. For the staircase here, we just updated the balusters to a metal, nice kind of classic detail here. And the oak handrail and the oak steps were reused, and we just restained those, so we didn't have to do a whole lot here. There used to be quite some ugly kind of like, I don't know what you call them, dental molding style, those pilaster column looking things that they used to use. We got rid of all of that. They used to be kind of sprinkled around the house, put in something a bit more modern. And here's a little Easter egg right here. You can see the way they used to do it. Again, they put doors everywhere, and you can see the original hinge cutouts from the door. This used to be a door right here, and they would shut this off. So every room had a door in it, which is not how we live today. So we got rid of all that. But again, because we're reusing the character of the old home and the old trims and everything, we want originality. We left that alone, didn't take it out. This is a fun area right here. I'll show you this bedroom first. This obviously is a bedroom. It does have a closet. Again, we reframed this whole wing of the house. None of this used to be this way, with the exception of this bedroom and then the hallway coming in. But the whole master suite wing, bathroom, and on this side, the closet was all brand new. So again, you're seeing the original door that we reused here. And then in here, he obviously converted this into his home office, which is very fantastic. But again, this is a bedroom, so you got a full bed here. And then straight off of the hallway, a beautiful full bath in a very classic styling. So the designer obviously chose all of this. She did this very pretty pedestal style mounted sink. We even picked out a toilet that was character to the home, very pretty. And then she came up with these cool arch details, this big arch niche against the back wall, absolutely love it. And then you're seeing all the tile detail around all the walls and the floor, mosaics. It was an absolute headache to do this and figure out, there's like, in this room, I think there's like 7 or 8 different actual tiles because of the details of the bowl nose and the turning of the corners, and a white one versus a black one. Headache, but it turned out amazing. So she has great vision. Coming into the master suite, again, this was completely rebuilt. So again, we have an original style door. This one's not original, but I bet I fooled you. This one we had custom made to be as close as possible to the original doors without going full custom out of a millwork shop. But we did take the hardware off of the original doors and we salvaged them and rebuilt them inside of the new door slabs. So inside of these new doors, we have the original hardware, but you have a new modern, because you know we use wider doors than they used to use back then. They were like 30 inches, 28 inches, 33 inches, 32 inches. Now we have a full 3-foot door, so you can get our modern furniture in here. So I'll take you into the bedroom first. Again, this room was mostly present in this location. We had the original double door. Obviously, that's not an original door, but we left it alone because it's a fine door. So this was rebuilt. There used to be a door right where you are, in this cased opening right here. Obviously, we took that off because we came through the door here. Now we're kind of in the master suite. You don't need doors and doors and doors in here. You just enter the suite there into the cool foyer. You got a nice, generous sized bedroom. We added some modern recessed can lighting, so you bring up a little bit more light in here. He's a ceiling fan guy, so he's got a ceiling fan, and right behind you is this beautiful master bathroom. So again, we enter in here. The style is amazing. The designer knocked it out of the park. This was an absolute headache to find source and come up with the patterns for this tile based on her concept, because I had to manually go through and count every single one of those squares based on a scale drawing or a detail drawing, so I could make sure we had the right materials to build this. It was a nightmare. I hated the process, but I love the result. And that's why you guys get to watch the video, because you get to skip all that. And then come on in, you'll see the beautiful little toilet room right here, which is a nice amenity that we have in modern bathrooms now. We have a private toilet bathroom, so you can close the door, get some nice privacy. Again, this was a new door right here using the original hardware. She picked out some beautiful jewelry for these spaces, and then she picked out this freestanding vanity, again using the same leathered or antiqued countertop to match the kitchen. And then the client opted for a modern mirror because he wanted the backlit mirror, but we still have like the period correct lighting around it, so I think it really ties nicely together. And I'm going to come with you inside of the closet. So this didn't exist before. It turned out really great. It's in a very efficient space. So we just did him a bunch of built-ins in here, and he has a nice washer and dryer right here inside of his closet, stackable unit. This is very common these days. People really love to put that right in their closets, even in big luxury homes, because you don't have to take your clothes anywhere. You can just wash them right there in your closet. They don't have to be lugged in and out. Boom, you can just throw it right in the machine, done. So we have some nice built-ins for him here, a full standing mirror behind you, but let's check out the shower. This is really pretty. She picked out some hardware that matched all of her other jewelry in here, and my glass guys integrated that into the design. So you guys can actually step inside of here with me. And so this is actually 2 showers plus a tub, so it's a wet room. So you have the full, very beautiful brass shower bar right here. We did a new window on the back of the house because it gives him an operable casement It's a vinyl window, so it's very weatherproof. You don't have to worry about the water hitting it in the shower. We waterproofed it all. And then it came with a factory frost on the bottom for privacy. And then obviously he's got his big soaker tub here, beautiful brass hardware. And then behind me, there's a regular shower head for like everyday use. So he's got options here: rain shower, hand shower, regular shower. So this shower just came out amazing. It's kind of like closed in unit. And when you shut the door, it's just got that little bit of reveal on top of the glass. So it kind of becomes a steam room. Turned out absolutely amazing. Let me take you upstairs. So we are now in the upstairs attic. Now I want you to take a look at these pictures before. This attic was an unfinished space. It had what we call collar ties, which joins the attic framing from side to side and holds the roof together. The collar ties were below my neckline, so obviously you couldn't stand up here. So we had the engineer redesign this structure of this roof up here, and we put in a bunch of beamwork. So right here, actually, you can see kind of like these chunky looking structures right here. We put in heavy beams right here, and this all actually used to be closed. You couldn't get to any of this before. So just a few beams and a little bit of restructuring, you gain all this footage right here. And then we raised this ceiling all the way up. It's so tall in here, and obviously you can see the slope in the ceiling detail. This ceiling keeps going up even taller, but we decided to end it at the height that we used because we needed room to run mechanical ducting and things like this. So just above us is a bunch of mechanical stuff that's hidden behind. But I mean, look at the space, guys. This is a full apartment basically for his son. So at the top of the stairs, he's got his little gym here. He's got his little play area. And then again, coming back over here, we've got his living room, his whole TV setup, his little chill spot, beautiful windows. We did add new modern windows up here in the attic. So one here on the other side and the one right there. They were a little beat up, rotten, and they weren't quite the right size. So we increased them a little bit. And then over here is the fun part, because this is more attic space. This is a beautiful bedroom. So out of this entire attic that was unusable before, we now basically, again, have a full apartment. You've got a beautiful big bedroom. We hid the mechanicals behind these two doors, so it's laying down flat on its side. So you still have great access for serviceability for the mechanical or the HVAC unit, but it's hidden behind a door. It's pretty, it's sexy. She chose, the designer, some beautiful carpet here on the floor, very plush, helps with the sound up here. And of course, in his bedroom, you can see it's quite a good size, and he's got two big, beautiful closets here with the double doors. Now, again, we did a slightly different door upstairs, again, to control the budget, because these were a bit more affordable than the ones that we did downstairs. They were custom milled to look like the first floor. I think we only needed 3 or 4 of those. Up here, we needed all new doors. So we saved a little bit up here, and this is Easter egg or cheat code. You're gonna see that the trims are a little bit different up here than downstairs. They're still really close to the kind of character of the home, but save some money upstairs because these are commonly available. Let's check out the bathroom. So this is a great little bathroom right here, full size. This was actually a challenge for us, guys, because we had an original concept where this thing was turned a bit, and it just didn't make a lot of sense for the headroom. You'd bang your head while you're taking a shower. So we went back with the designer and we came up with a new layout. So we have the tub over here kind of long ways, and you have great access to come in and out of the tub. You've got your shower valve there, beautiful space right here for a toilet. It's nice and spacious. You don't have to feel cramped or anything. The vanity fits perfect in this little nook, so it does kind of give you the illusion of privacy right here. She, again, knocked it out of the park with all of her design selections. This is, again, one of those RTA cabinets up here, just in a blue color, so it gives you a little different vibe up here. We did a nice paneling detail on the wall. She picked out some little hooks to hang up all his things, little racks and things. She really thought of everything when it came to the details. But there is one hidden thing that I want to show you up here that's a secret, but not anymore. So check this out. The client wanted a cool space for his son to go and kind of had a hideaway. So behind the bookshelf, we bought this from Murphy Door, I believe. You've got a little hidden space back here for his son to come, and just think about how cool this would have been if you were a kid to have your own space. You can see he's already starting to move into it. They haven't been here that long. So he's got a little hiding room in here. He's got his little chair, he's doing his thing. I'm sure they're gonna add more furniture in here, but this was a space that was unusable before because right here next to us was the stairwell coming up. So obviously you can't encroach into that unless you open it, but you still can't use the space. So this was a cool way for his son to enjoy this little nook, and we hid it behind that hidden bookshelf. So one of the other things that we do when it's appropriate and it makes sense is we use modern methods in these older homes. I mean, I guess we kind of use those in all the homes now. And things like, you're looking at the ceiling and one might say, well, Peter, what about insulation? Well, spray foam, simple, easy. You can see it here. These were part of the original design. Actually, I think we got a light back here. Yep. So you can see we spray foam the whole roof deck, which gave us the capability of pushing the roof as far out as we can, because there's certain codes about depth of insulation for roofs and attics and things like this. So we spray foam the whole thing. This is all an unfinished area back here. You can see one of the original door frames kind of sitting on the floor there. And this is just kind of like long-term storage that's not finished. Could have finished it, but it wasn't important to the client and he didn't want to spend the money on it, so we didn't, but it is a useful space. And you'll have the same theme over here. We got another closet. So in this house, we did bring all of this up. So there's a lot of infrastructure here. That's where you spend a lot of money. And people don't realize when you're doing remodels or building homes or things like this, not necessarily building a home, but when you're doing big home builds and changes, is if you're in here and you've got the whole house ripped apart, I mean, this is your moment to update everything in the house. Mechanicals, electrical, plumbing, things like this, because this house had galvanized and iron pipe mixed together for plumbing and for gas. It had very old wiring in it, mixed in with wiring from the 70s and 80s and 90s probably. It's all hodgepodge, there's stuff everywhere. It had plumbing that was old as well. Obviously the HVACs, there was none up here. The HVACs that were in the basement were quite old, and there was all a retrofit hodgepodge because people just don't think big picture. They just come in, do their little job and leave. So when we do jobs like this, we try and think forward into the future about what spices that maybe we're not even finishing today could be, and think about that. I'm going to show you that in the basement. But up here, we made it super clean, got him up to snuff on installation. It's a very cozy space. We did reuse the original framing for the floor, so it still kind of has a few of its hips and valleys, but there's something else I want to show you downstairs. So getting into some of the kind of behind the scenes conversations, because everybody likes to look at the pretty stuff, but how do you make these homes great? These floors were original to the house. I'm not sure if they were original when the house was built in the 20s and 30s, but obviously it's a 2¼ inch floor. They were used for many, many, many years and still are used today. And it's something that we can still get today. So instead of ripping all the floors out, we laced back in and added. So this was all hardwood. Hardwood was in the kitchen, kind of. We laced in and then continued. And then we built hardwoods where there were none. And then obviously added tiles. We did some small details like putting in these flushed in hardwood vents in the hardwood flooring. So we cut those in and flushed them down so you don't see those metal grates. That's kind of a nicer touch to make it feel more high end. But you know, when you're building these kind of houses or remodeling them, you really got to think about every single detail that's going to make the house feel like you did a really good job. And one of the first things that I noticed when I came into the house in this room and that room in particular in the dining room is big bows in the floors. Now you can imagine if you're into building and you know kind of how the framing of these different houses work, you know that in the past they used dimensional lumber and they would just use 2x8s, 2x6s, 2x10s. Now the wood was better back then, of course, but still it's dimensional lumber. When you put modern loads on these things with all these people and heavy appliances and granite countertops, things like this, they load the house down more than they're supposed to, I guess, maybe from when they were built 100 years ago. So again, because the floors were bowed in here using that dimensional lumber and that original concept, I mean, there's even some chunky beams down there, but 100 years of use, they start to bow with moisture and use. So what did we do is we came back in underneath, and I'm going to show you down below, and we pushed the whole framing of the house back up. We jacked it back up. We poured a bunch of footers and we put in LVL beams all the way across these rooms and all across these rooms to flatten all this out, because otherwise you'd walk into this brand new beautiful home and you'd see all these bowed and bumpy floors and you feel it when you walk and you spend all this money. It's terrible. So for not that much more money, you go downstairs and you think, okay, let's straighten this out. Jack the house up a little bit, put some footers in there proper, put some beams in there, and the beams are super straight and strong, so you just shove them underneath all those bowed pieces of wood and they'll push them all back up. It's kind of like a center support or a mid-span support and get you straight again. So that's something that we did here, and we did in the kitchen, because again, you got a granite island there, it's quite heavy. Let me show you what that looks like downstairs. So obviously, like, this is his storage overflow space, his basement, but I knew that was gonna happen. So before, I mean, you can see that this place was quite dingy, quite nasty. It had unfinished floors, it was dark, it had stuff everywhere, wires everywhere. It was just gross. Now look around you, aside from his belongings, obviously, you'll see that everything is quite neat, clean, and tidy. And so this is just the OCD in me. When I walk into spaces and I see a bajillion wires hanging from everywhere and crossing below and pipes everywhere, it drives me absolutely nuts. So I had my guys, because we're doing new electrical, new plumbing, new HVAC, and new gas line, I had my guys come in here and strip this place naked. I want every nail, screw, piece of metal, flashing, whatever strap hanging from these rafters taken down, because see what we did. Now you can see our modern wiring up in here, and even some of these things were added after the remodel was mostly complete. But we came through and we cleaned it all up. And you know, again, in these older homes, when people retrofitted them in the 70s, 60s, 80s, whatever, with newer electricity, they would just stick the wires to the bottom of the thing and it'd be a rat's nest everywhere. Don't do that. Come in and have your guys drill through the studs, which is allowed, of course, and run the wires in them. So if one day he wanted to finish this ceiling, why not? You just come and put a sheetrock on here or do something like that, whatever material he wants to use. So before, there were HVAC units over here in this corner, and all of the ducting for the whole first floor, you can imagine, comes up from the bottom. So now, instead of having all these spider legs and spider webs of ducts everywhere that just, you know, this is not the huge ceiling, they come down and they get in your headspace. I told my guys, let's actually mount the HVAC unit here in the back. And we mounted it kind of commercial style, I guess you could say. So we put it on a hanger like you would do in a commercial building from a ceiling. We hung it with its pan and its pump. And I had my guys build the plenums, and you can see, actually you can't see, because the plenum out of this one, you don't see any pipes. Why? Because I had them fire them backwards. Same thing over there. Now there's a couple exceptions where we just couldn't get away from it. But we had this natural kind of block wall around the foundation here in the basement. So we used it. I told my client, let's go ahead and build these little walls. So now I'm getting back to, you're seeing I did some supports here. I added in some extra structure to support and strengthen the house above. You see that little 4x4 post right there. There's another one kind of hiding over there. And then we built these stud walls to continue that block wall and make a barrier. He didn't want to finish it right now. He might in the future. But again, think a few steps ahead when you're doing a remodel. Think about what you may want to do down the road. Set yourself up for success. You know, a guy in here for a few hours with a little bit of lumber to build that wall, it's going to add the strength to the rooms above. It's going to give you a place to put things, plugs, panels, things like this. And it's going to create the continuation of that wall so you can finish that wall. So this could be a finished room. I mean, he could put carpet or hardwood or tile down here, or just do something with the concrete. He could finish the walls, and this is more house. He could throw another air conditioner down here, and this is more square footage. So do a thoughtful job when you're doing your remodels. Again, with the HVAC units, because I built those walls around, it's basically a big U that goes this way. So I had my guys fire all the ducting backwards and wrap it around. So you'll see in the sides over here in the unfinished spaces that he wouldn't use, all your ducting, all your piping, plumbing pipes, electrical, things like this. It's all in there, so none of it is here. We only had these two pipes basically, and I think one right there that had to go right there. You know, you got a central air, you got to get your central flow. But I had them run it around and then snake it this way, so it just didn't come and just completely destroy the ceiling height, because we already had to have plumbing pipes here for a tub and a shower. No getting away from it. And with those pipes, you obviously can't put those in the ceiling, because you'd be cutting up the wood. So thoughtful things like this that you can do to make the house better, stronger, cleaner, neater, and set up for success in the future. And the last thing I want to show you now, I don't even know if we can see it because we did such a good job covering it up. Ah, here we go. So in this little section right here, and look, we even added lighting up there, because if he builds a wall one day and he needs to get up there, he needs a little light so he can see what he's doing back there. Small things. But you can see right here, this beam right here that we put in, underneath there is a footer. We built structural footers, and we built 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down the row you can see, and this is exactly where the kitchen is. So this beam right here is catching the midspan of all the joists in here, and it's pushing up, both flattening the floor, strengthening the floor, and giving us more kind of strength for the island to sit on. People, humans, appliances, island, food, stuff. So you've got support both there and here now, because before, this system used to run from the exterior wall all the way to here, right? Think about that now. You've got, and this isn't even a 2x10, this is a 2x8. So this board, and it's 100 years old, ran from here all the way to that exterior wall. That's quite a span when you got a granite island on there and all this stuff. So now we have a third span support there and a third span support there. So this thing has been beefed up in 2 spots. And you can see these originally chunky beams that they used 100 years ago, and they're quite strong. But you know, this is the perfect example right here. Look where I'm standing. From that beam we were just at, all the way over to here are the spans. Now this is the hallway upstairs, so this isn't a high load area. So we didn't need to do any extra support there, but we did those beams all the way down there, all the way back there, and we even added some more supports over here. Small things that you can do that don't cost a lot of money that make your house that much better. That's it, guys. I just wanted to highlight this build because it was very unique, because of its age, because of its style. Given that we do a lot of modern and more transitional work, this was a fun project to see through the end just because of what it is. We really enjoyed it. We didn't enjoy the tile part, that was a headache. But otherwise it was really fun. I geek out on like taking something that's really old and ugly and making it pretty. And this is that example, because it was a bunch of small rooms chopped up. The basement was a disaster. The attic was ugly, unusable. And now look at this beautiful home. And the other best part for the client is, I don't know what he paid for this house, but whatever. And then he put in whatever we put in. He's definitely walking away with equity out of this deal. So this is something that people can do. This is something that a lot of people, almost all people in today's environment, don't want to do. They don't want to put in the sweat equity. All you have to do, I mean, all you have to do, it sounds easy to say, but it's a lot of work, is you buy a property that needs help. If you buy something that's distressed and you put the money into it, you're going to get more money out of it at the end. If you do your numbers and you're willing to spend, you know, I don't know, let's say $1 million on a brand new house. Well, what if you bought a $400,000 house and you put 300 into it, you're 700 total, and now it's worth $1 million. You just put 300 in equity and wealth building into your pocket. You're not going to realize that money today, but you will in 2, 5, 7, 10 years when you sell the house. And by the way, it's going to keep going up in value because that's what real estate always does. So this client, he had the vision. He hired the professionals, he pulled in the designer, he pulled in the architect. They put together a great plan. We executed it. And now look at him. He's sitting on a beautiful little profit right here. He's going to enjoy this house for a period of time in his life. And then he'll move on to the next thing and he'll take a nice little prize at the end of the rainbow. So definitely, you know, guys, if this is something that you have the temperament and the budget for, do it. Don't be afraid. Even if you get in there and get your hands dirty and do part of it yourself, it's a great way to build wealth, generationally speaking. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We appreciate you coming out. We've got some great things coming up on some of our other builds, so stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Tell me where you think you saw the old trim versus the new trim, if I didn't already reveal it. See you on the next one. See you guys.